I think now NATO has come to a very crucial point, and I think there is a very real risk that it won't be able to continue in its present form. I don't think, looking at NATO in the future, we can take the fact that the Americans are going to be fully involved in it forever for granted. I think they might well say, well, why should we bother to hold this thing together? Because it's not really in our interest to do that. Why should we spend a lot of our money on doing this? Let the Europeans do that. If that is the case, then does the European Union have to look more at forming its own structures? Well, while NATO existed, that was a nonsense to do that. It was a nonsense because actually you were replicating structures. But if we do that within Europe, then the cost militarily will be gigantic. Masses of the enablers, mass of the ability to use strategic intelligence, satellite intelligence, all of these sorts of things, all the tanker aircraft, all the resupply. The Americans have provided all of that, and we've got along on their coattails. If the Americans pulled out, we would have to do that, and I don't think Europe would like that very much. It would be very interesting, actually, to see which, if any, countries would be willing to stump up the sort of money that's required. I think there'd be a real problem in this country, I have to say. Now, historically, Britain has been quite good about pulling its weight militarily. I have to say, post this SDSR, we definitely are beginning not to. And there are real risks of our country becoming a different country in its sense of its global position. I believe that the armed forces we have now are going to be reduced to a size that is smaller than really we should have as a nation. And I think what is happening, there is a sort of fight going on within Whitehall, has gone on for some time, about how we see ourselves as a nation and what we should do. And there are some people, some very senior civil servants and a few military, but mainly senior civil servants and some politicians who want Britain to be a different country in a sense. And the cuts that are going on at the moment, particularly things like losing our carrier capability for 10 years, particularly squeezing our amphibious capability, the things that one can go out and do things around the world, do make us a different country. Can we really expect to be a permanent member of the Security Council if we have the smallest of all the armed forces there? Because soft power is fine, but actually military power is an issue. Can we really expect to look after 14 dependencies when our Navy has been reduced to a size now where we actually probably can't do it? I think we might have to ask the EU or France to look after them for us. Right, you could argue, fair enough, so what? I think, though, some people's perspective of what Britain is in the world would be shaken to the core by things like that. We would have to change quite dramatically. And I think that's a real worry, and I don't think that aspect has been talked through enough. There have been a number of comments recently, of course, about military men speaking, and I think David Cameron's rather, I think, childish response about, get on with the fighting, or what exactly he said, was a remark that indicated to me he knows deep down that the SDSR was flawed, and therefore he feels very vulnerable in this area. And it was a rather off-the-cuff comment, and I'm sure he regrets making it. It was childlike, and I think demeans him a bit, actually, and I think it's a great shame, because normally he would do better than that.